As you all may know, the Pretend podcast with Gypsy Rose Blanchard on it aired yesterday, Tuesday the 11th. And I listened to part 1, 2, and 3, and I want to go over a few parts from that podcast. Javier said that he does have a part 4 coming. He didn't say when, but we will know more whenever that comes out, because honestly, I personally don't know where this is really leading, like ultimately, but I have a feeling. But I'm not going to say it just yet, just because, I don't know for sure, but I have an intuition and I have a gut feeling. And I'm sure all of you probably do too. But let's get into the parts that I clipped, and I'm going to let you hear. So the first thing Javier asked Gypsy was, what was the breaking point that led Gypsy to want to commit the crime she committed?
In 2015, and by that time I had had multiple surgeries and I was on multiple different medications. And I hit a point that it's like, okay, another upcoming surgery, procedure. And then I start thinking to myself, like, is this the rest of my life? Is this, I've already been cut up. I have scars on my neck from a previous surgery. It's kind of like, at what end? And I started thinking about that. And I started thinking about, if it keeps on like this, like, how much more physically am I going to succumb to what my mother was doing?
Notice she said 2015 when he asked her that question. She did not start thinking about it in 2015. If that would have been the case, it would have been a crime of passion. It would have been like a spontaneous unaliving. But Gypsy has been planning that crime for over 2 years, and we all know that.
To be clear, the procedure that Gypsy's describing is called a laryngoscopy. It doesn't require any cutting. It's essentially a small camera on a tube that passes through the nose or the mouth to look at the voice box. No incisions.
I want you to remember what he just said and listen to what she is about to say.
By 2015, Gypsy was already 23 years old and had already been through more surgeries than most people experience in their lifetime. So when a doctor started talking about going anywhere near her throat, she said it didn't matter what the procedure was called. For her, that was the final straw.
And so there was that part of me that just felt so desperate to just end it. And it was a big fear. Like, that procedure had struck a fear in me that, what happens if my voice is taken? So I talk about that in my book. It's kind of like, okay, they're going to be.
Like Javier said, it was not a major surgery. Her voice would not have been taken. I'm sure she was explained that because she was 23 years old whenever the procedure was going to be taking place.
So the only time that I would walk inside the home is when my mom wasn't there.
We're already on line number 5, 6, or 7 in the interview already.
Anytime that I shown any kind of, hey, I don't need the chair, I'm not as sick as what you're saying, she would get very upset. Mm-hmm. And then we would argue for days. And then this is where kind of the manipulation came in, is where she would take her love away. We had animals, we had cats. And so she would favor the cat over me and then just speak to me in such a mean way and then be overly affectionate to the cat.
I haven't heard that one before come out her mouth, but being affectionate to the cat and being jealous, it's just, I don't buy it. Now let's get into the FOIA videos that were released.
The FOIA videos. Mm-hmm. Those were between Nick and I through the course of our relationship. And a lot of the videos, they are what any couple does in a long-distance relationship. Some is sexual, some is not.
What you and Nicholas Godejohn did in a long-distance relationship is not what normal people do in a long-distance relationship. And just by her saying that today, after all these years, tells me a lot.
Well, tell me about just the role-playing that you had with him. Who introduced that?
So Nick introduced it. So I logged into the old Facebook account. Do you want to see some of it?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know how deep you want to go into this stuff. So.
And this is Emma Rose's.
Emma Rose was my account that I was using at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So Nick would send me all of these memes, and so a lot.
This is back in 2015.
Yes, back in 2015. So he would send me these memes.
So a lot of daddy stuff and bondage, right? So what does that say? She was his lifeline. He was her sanity. And as a woman with like a choke collar.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I mean, he would send me all these, and it goes on and on and on.
So this was definitely, from what you're showing me, this is what he got off on.
Yes. This was his fetish. Like, this was his thing.
You showed him one of your Facebook accounts. One of them, because you had many. And mind you, Gypsy was also sending memes and things like that to Nick. We've seen them. We've seen them in the FOIAs. We've seen them on the Emma Rose account. You can't blame it all on Nick, especially whenever you introduced Dan to that type of role-playing. So let's just blame it all on Nick. How about that? That's what you've done since day one.
And this is your first relationship.
Yes.
No, it wasn't.
Role play for me was like, oh, okay, dress up as a prince and a princess. Whereas role play for him was this dominant, submissive.
Role-playing as Cinderella was whenever you were trying to get money from people. Role-playing with Nick was something totally different and something you also enjoyed. Otherwise, you would not have spent hours and hours making films of yourself dressing up as Ruby, Damona, Candy, whoever.
Explain that.
Okay, well, Nick had instructed me to make certain videos. Certain videos were replying to certain versions of his personalities. These videos were a product of scripts that he would give me. Say this, where...
You know, I've heard so many people say that you could have easily hit the block button, Gypsy. You didn't have to do it. If you were so scared of Nick, why would you do it? You went on a Christian dating website to find a boyfriend or find love, is what you told this man Javier in this interview. Now, if that was the case, and if you did not want to go through with what you were doing on them videos, you didn't have to do it. Like we all have been saying, it would have been simple. Hit the block button, find another boyfriend. Because at one point in time on them websites, the Christian website, you were talking to other boys and men, grown men, married men. Why did you pick Nick? And why did you go through with everything you went through on them videos if you were terrified and didn't want to do it? You were so scared of Victor, but yet you spent hours on camera doing everything you said that he made you do. That just makes no sense whatsoever.
And I'm not ever going to make excuses. Those videos were disgusting, and I regret them. They are deeply disturbing. I now have a daughter, and if anything like that was to happen, I would go back to prison. I would go back to prison if anybody even thought about my daughter like that. It is disgusting.
You are disgusting. You are the one that said it. I don't believe a word you say, and I don't think you're remorseful, and I think you meant every word you said back then.
And to this day, that gets thrown in my face.
Rightfully so. I mean, you just said how disgusting it was. Why would anybody not throw that in your face? It's disgusting.
And I'm like, you have to understand, where's Nick's responsibility in all of this? Like, he's the one that asked me to make it. Yes, I didn't have to make it.
How are you going to blame a man for making videos that you made and for what you said? Make that make sense, Gypsy. Stop blaming Nick. Take responsibility for your actions. He didn't say all that. You did.
I didn't. Those things should have never came out of my mouth. I know that. And I regret that. And that would never realistically happen. I'm appalled and disgusted. And all I can do is...
If you wouldn't have committed the crime you committed, and for some reason you would have had a baby with Nicholas Godejohn, I 1000% believe that it, in fact, would have probably happened. And I honestly feel bad for the daughter that you have today. Okay, and now she's going to be telling you about a story about a second time she tried to run away. The first time was when she ran away to the hospital to Dan when he got beat up or whatever. And now she's trying to run away again, and now she's telling the story about that.
He came at me, and I got scared, and there was a BB gun on the table, kitchen table, and I grabbed it out of fear, and I released the BBs at her.
What was your intention, though? Like,
just to scare her. I didn't even think that I would pull the trigger until I got scared. I knew that it was not a real gun. I knew that it was a BB gun, so I knew that it was not going to kill her. So I think it was out of fear. I freaked out, and I released it.
Just to scare.
So now she's going to get into blaming Nick on some more things that she did.
The person that I told was Nick. And the same, I'm not trying to deflect or anything, but the same question could be asked for him. Why didn't you tell your mom? Tell the police? There was just so much that could have happened differently, and it didn't. But we only see that now in hindsight. Because before, it was like this urgency, this, have to get out of this situation by any means possible.
If there was such a sense of urgency, Gypsy, you would have done it way sooner. Why wait till you're 23 years old after you've been doing all that for years and years and years, but you just so happen to be in a relationship with a man for however long, and your mom supposedly wouldn't let y'all be together, and then it happened? Why wait till then? Because there was no abuse.
And why excuse one without the other? Can't you just chalk it up to both are, not very worldly and have sympathy for both? Hate both or sympathize with both? You can't say, and I get this in my comments all the time, free Nick, free Nick. But Nick is the one that did the physical crime. He is the one that murdered my mother in cold blood. If we are pinned person to person, and it is you, kill or be killed, I think all of us has the need and want and drive and biologically fight to survive. And whether it be physically or mentally, we are always trying to self-preserve our own selves.
And there she goes again, not calling herself a unaliver, even though she was in fact convicted of second-degree unaliving, originally charged with first-degree unaliving. So you are a convicted unaliver, Gypsy. So you have to identify as that. That's what you're identified as. That's what you will be known for forever. Anyways, this is super long already. She just basically blamed Nick the whole time, it sounded like, and then threw in a little bit of like sprinkle, I'm taking accountability too, but also blaming it all on Nick. Anyways, what do y'all think about all that? I don't know. I'm curious to see what the fourth part is going to be, and what other lies she's going to say. Talk to y'all tomorrow.